Hi everyone, welcome to UTV Gooner and our show, The Shooting Lone Star with Ram from the Austin Gooners. Hey bro, how are you?
Hey man, I'm doing great here in Austin, Texas. It's really hot. Um, but we're not letting that bring us down. Very excited for the start of the season. A lot of good stuff happening in this off season. They came to the US, really connected with the fans over here. Um, a lot of hype built up for this season coming up and yeah, just ready to get it going, man. And yeah, it's a little bit disappointed that the first match of the season is at 6:30 in the morning on Saturday, but um I think we're gonna be okay. We'll end up hopefully having a few beers at the end of the game to celebrate a victory. But it's okay, man. We're a lot of 6:30 matches coupled with a lot of like noon 10 a.m. matches, things like that. So we just have to take it how it comes and just roll with it.
Yeah, bro, not long to go now. Nottingham Forest, just a few days away. Really excited. Before we talk about that game and our predictions and previewing the season, gonna get your thoughts on the Community Shield. We know it's a pre-season game, but there was a trophy on the line. It's always one of those that the team that wins it says, "Yeah, it's really good, happy with that," and the team that loses it always like, "Oh, it's only a pre-season game." But for us, it was a great opportunity to test ourselves against a great team like Man City, a team that have just won the treble. We know the level of them. We were competing with them last season, right up until the end of the season, going head to head with them. So it was great to put ourselves against them, see where we're at, and we played really well throughout the game. We were right in the game. We had the better of the chances, I thought. All right, we went 1-0 down and we didn't equalize right until the end, like literally the end in injury time. But it was well
Mm.
deserved, kept persevering, going for that goal. We got it in the end. All right, a little bit fortunate with how the deflection went, but as you were saying before we started filming, that you deserve your luck in when you keep pushing and pushing. And
Mm.
overall, I thought we were a better team. And then the penalties, we took them so well. Big shout out to all the players that took the penalties, buried them nicely. That one that Vieira took right at the end, brilliant. Top corner, that was brilliant for him to do it like that, finish it in style. And Ramsdale, shout out to him with his penalty save, done in the Emirates Cup as well, made a save there. So it's really good overall performance and happy to start the season in that way.
Yeah, man. I echo a lot of everything you just said, right? And I thought at going into the match, I really liked our starting 11, who Arteta decided to go with. As you said, it was a preseason match, so with Jesus out for a few weeks, um, I felt we already knew what we could get with Eddie, and I thought starting Kai Havertz was a little bit of genius on Arteta's part. On one hand, we want to see what he can bring playing the nine position with us in our system with our players. But then also just it's a little bit of gamesmanship, putting a different formation on film so that our opponents have to prepare for that kind of lineup. So there's a little bit of that too as well. Especially given our opponent, Manchester City, one of our I guess biggest rivals as of late, right? And not only necessarily in basically coming off of last year, they're our top rivals right now, and they've dominated us for such a long time. So beating them was such just like a it just felt good. And there at the tavern here in Austin, like we celebrated like it was like we won we won a trophy, right? And it was against Man City. Um, as far as I've been a fan, I've never seen this team beat Man City in the 7, 8 years that I've been following. So it's just a really cathartic thing to happen for us. Um, and again, the nature of the way that we won, right? I mean, a little bit disappointed in the way we gave up that first goal. I thought, it was a little bit poor on the team overall. But we kept fighting and we kept, continuing to push. I thought even though they may have dominated possession early on in the game, we withstood that pressure. and then we sort of went toe to toe with them. And if you look at the stats, I mean, nearly equal in possession, in passing, and all this shots and things like that. I thought we really brought it to them, and we really showed ourselves as a team to be reckoned with moving forward. And then yeah, as I said before we went recording, um, even though that goal was a little bit lucky, the previous setup to put us in that position wasn't luck. Wow, we look so beautiful, man. Like it was it was just this tiki taka type of passing back and forth led to a corner, and the corner leads to Saka passing off the ball to Trossard. And then I just love the way he plays, man. Fearless. Like and almost my thought of, every time I'm watching a match and you get frustrated when your team doesn't shoot the ball or this and this, sometimes you just want your guys to shoot because something's gonna happen. A deflection happens, when it comes off somebody's uh leg and then goes into the back of the net. That's what you want, right? And so like that's what you wanted to see in the 110th minute was just shoot the damn ball and then something's going to happen. And sure enough, something did happen. And sure, we got lucky there, but then you got to go into penalty kicks. And I thought penalties, like everybody that we wanted to step up, stepped up. Our skipper stepped up. I thought Bukayo Saka, because he had that rough miss earlier in the preseason, and I really want him to be our penalty taker. So I want him to see and feel success from that spot. Ramsdale, out of all the heat he's been getting, it was great for him to see another save in a big moment, 2 saves in a row. And then Fabio Vieira, man, as you said, he's been he's been coming along really slowly, and a lot of the fans are starting to like put some pressure on, like, hey, when are you going to come good on that fee that we paid, or when are you going to just show what you were made of? And I think he finally was starting to do that. I think over the course of the preseason, he's doing good things here and there. Um, and then I just think him hitting that penalty, just so confident, so emphatic, and I think that's really going to give him a boost of confidence that he needs, because you just saw how the players came and celebrated with them, and he went straight to pointing to the badge, and he loves where he is, and he just wants to contribute. You get that feeling watching him play, and yeah, man. So I just think it was a storybook start to the season. Whether we can take that momentum and just continue it on remains to be seen. But I mean, that's the beauty of the sport, right? I mean, that's why they play. That's why we watch. But it was just a wonderful way to start the season, man.
Yeah, for sure. And as you were saying, that dominance that Man City have had to us in the head-to-head games in the Premier League, we're talking years. I remember when we were previewing the game against them last season, and we're going through the stats, and the amount of games in a row that they've beaten us in is crazy. So, this psychologically gives us that boost when we do go head-to-head with them in the Premier League season. This will have a big impact, I feel, on the confidence for us. We see with them the way Pep likes to play, the way they normally pass the ball, they have most of possession. But we saw last season in the game that we lost here at the Emirates, he changed his tactics up. He was going a lot more longer. We had a lot more of a ball. I think the stat was that in that game, it was the least amount of possession that any team that Pep's managed ever had. So
Hmm.
it shows you we are really getting better and better. And I can't really see a big gap between us and them that you could see a couple of seasons ago. We closed it massively last season, so much so that we took them right down to the wire in the title race. And now we want that next step now to not just close that gap, but to be on the same level and to go ahead of them. And we're definitely on the way to doing that. And the summer signings have been really important to that as well. Just wanting to get your thoughts on all three of them. So you mentioned Havertz there playing in the false nine role, but we saw earlier in preseason he was playing in the midfield role.
Hmm.
Rice, I think he needs some time. I was speaking to some people and saying that it's a big change for him coming from the setup at West Ham, where they're playing a lot more defensive football. His role's a lot more different, with the patterns of play that he's now seen with us. So he needs some time to adjust. Timber, for me, he's been the standout of the three. I'm sure everyone's
Hmm.
thinking the same thing because he's just been looking amazing. That he's just hit the ground running, playing as left back. We know his preferred position is right back. but playing as left back in that inverted midfield role as well. The pace, the power, the on the ball, his skills, he's just looked unbelievable. So, what's your thoughts on our three signings so far and how they've gone in pre-season?
Yeah, I think I'll start with Timber, and I think, man, he's just come in here and just and he has that calmness, right? So self-assured, and he knows exactly what he needs to do. It's almost like he's been playing with us for years, and he did mention in his interview how the way Ajax and Arsenal play is relatively similar styles, or they have the same ideas in mind. So I feel like that kind of adjustment's not going to be it's going to be very easy for him, and we've already seen him play on the right, on the as a right back, as a left back, and when he was at Ajax, he was a center back, man. So he's just like the epitome of exactly what Arteta wants out of the players that he's been bringing in, right? That versatility. And I think that really is going to make us just that much more sure of ourselves and solidified on the back four, man. Like, we have so many players that fit his kind of profile, that can play on the left, can play on the right, can play down the middle, or in the center, and just really, I think the past two seasons we missed out on top four, and then we missed out on the title, largely, I think, due to just us just getting so decimated in the back four. And I think Timber is just another piece of the puzzle. And hopefully we can keep a healthy Tomiyasu. We still got Jacob Kiwior, who I think is strong. Like, anybody you put in there is going to be great. And I think Timber is going to be yeah, he's just gonna be another piece of another weapon in Arteta's tool belt, man. And he just looks so versatile, man. He was going one on one with some of these players, and on that Community Shield match, and it was just fun to watch, man. I was so excited to see him. He's just a relentless defender. Um, so I think he's going to probably be like the one that adjusts to the quickest. And then if we talk about like Declan Rice, yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you've been saying. Like, a lot of people over there have been talking about. He's definitely. I think there's definitely going to be a little bit of I guess some growing pains and some adjustment period. Not at all dissimilar to what happened like when we signed Thomas Partey. Like, I don't think I don't think we're gonna see like as rough of a transition. I think Declan Rice is a little bit more of a just he has much more upside. He's younger. He's got a lot more. I think he's gonna pick it up a little bit quicker. Um, but even with the anticipated sort of growing pains with him, you saw there was some moments on against City that like, oh, you're just so excited in the player that we got, like, especially where he ran down. I think it was Bernardo Silva. I don't know who it was, but he was running
Yeah,
down the field.
Garner too,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he just came in and just like he didn't even foul him. He just bossed him up, just took over the ball and then passed it on, and then we just kept going. And I think that's what he brings, right? He's a very intelligent guy, so he's gonna pick and choose his moments where he can use his size and his speed to really take over. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna see a ton of like goals and assists or things like that from him. But I think he is going to be one of those settling forces in our midfield that's going to allow Odegaard to kind of roam free a little bit more and do his thing. But I think him and Thomas Partey are going to together just kind of be like those extra defenders that we might need to feel sure of ourselves, and then just pivot, over to attack. So, um, yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, those two, right? And then Kai Havertz, I think what we're going to end up seeing him doing is a little bit more of that Granit Xhaka role. Um, I'm pretty sure, you can go back in the archives and see maybe how many times I said, "Oh man, I love what Xhaka was doing in his new box to box role, but man, I wish he can shoot, and man, I wish he could hit like he can finish." And I think Kai Havertz is going to be that guy. Not necessarily the same style of player as Xhaka, but he's going to be a little bit better in that box to box type thing and finishing, right, doing what our Xhaka couldn't do. Um, and yes, of course, stepping in and playing in the false nine role that he did at Chelsea. Um, I thought, especially in that role against City, I don't think it was terrible, and I don't think it was amazing. It just looked like he was a new player trying to get used to his teammates. But I thought he did the pressing pretty well. He's a big guy. Whenever there was corners, you saw him, Gabriel, and Saliba all there, and I was just like, "That's incredible, bro!" Like we've got 3 people who are just 6 foot plus, ready to knock in some headers. And I thought the 2 big chances that he had, that God, I wish there were goals, but they were difficult chances, and hopefully you hope that they go in at some point. But I thought the first one was sort of like a quote half chance. Like you had to really do well to kind of get a shot off. And then there was another one that I thought, oh, like that should have gone in. But you want him to get those shots, and I just thought, he was good at what he was asked to do. But it also could have been better. So I think those 3 guys all going to be at different levels of adaptation, but I think they're all going to just be big, crucial pieces. And I would say I'll get ahead of it all and say, like, I think Urian Timber is going to be the one that makes more of an impact a lot quicker than the other 2. But that's not to say that they're not going to. I just think he's a little bit more ready made to what we want to do with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with Declan Rice as well. So he's been playing the Xhaka role, which
Hmm.
is new for him because at West Ham he was playing more of a Thomas Partey role, the holding midfielder. So, obviously some games he probably would be playing instead of Thomas Partey when we're resting Thomas Partey, or if Thomas Partey is injured, be playing that role which he's more used to. I mean, like I say, he might bring Havertz in to play that Xhaka role. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's great to have all these different options, and yeah, they definitely need time to adapt. Like even if Rice and Havertz have been playing in the Premier League, adapting to that new side of play, getting used to your new teammates, the different runs, the way Arteta wants them to play, the patterns to play. So that'll take a bit of time for them. And then, the big thing as well, we've been hearing a lot. I heard Roy Keane mentioning it during the Community Shield that we paid too much for Declan Rice. This is the thing in the transfer market. Sometimes you're gonna have to pay more than you like to pay, but when you look at it the other way, what do we pay for Timber? 35 million.
Yeah.
That's a bargain. I think he from what I've seen of him so far, he's only going to get better and better, and he's young. But he's worth maybe 50 at least.
Yeah.
So,
Easily.
so sometimes you might pay a bit too much for one player, but then you save somewhere else by getting a good bargain. So I think it's amazing. The business we've done, getting them 3 players in, I think it's really going to help us. Squad depth, as you mentioned, we've suffered with that in the last 2 seasons when we got towards the end of the season. That really did cost us going on to
Mm.
get top 4 2 years ago and winning the league last season. So great transfer business. And there's another player that is strongly being linked and looks like it's all done. He's going to be coming in because we've announced that Matt Turner has left now, gone to Nottingham Forest. Wish him the
Mm.
best of luck. I know, a lot about him being an American goalkeeper. He didn't have much time with us, but whenever he did play for us, done really well. Got to give him credit for that. Wish him the best of luck at Nottingham Forest. And it looks like Brentford's goalkeeper Raya is coming in. We're hearing it's going to be a loan, which works well for us in the financial situation. We're not having to pay that money for his transfer fee now. Just pay a little bit now for a loan and then pay the rest next season. Like when we do commit to that purchase. So,
Yeah.
just thoughts first on Matt Taylor leaving, your guy from America, and your thoughts on us bringing Raya in, and what do you think that means as well in terms of a Ramsdale situation? Because for things I've been reading and hearing, this guy Raya is very good. I've not seen that much of him, but I'm hearing he is very, very good,
Yeah.
and it'd be great competition between him and Ramsdale for the number 1 spot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So Matt Turner, I felt that he was good. I was really excited that we had an American player on the Arsenal squad. He's a great shot stopper, right? I mean, you saw it during the World Cup. He's a U.S. #1 goalkeeper for the national team. He did pretty decent this summer in the Gold Cup and the Nations League final. He got himself a trophy and all that. Um, I just think it was just one of those, like the expression goes, like stuck between a rock and a hard place. And he was really good, but I don't think he was ever gonna push Ramsdale to get that starting spot. And I think Arteta felt that he maybe wanted something a little bit better to push Ramsdale a little bit more, because Ramsdale has his moments. He's really good. I think I'm happy he's our guy. But maybe he suffered a little bit at the end, and maybe Arteta said, "Hey, you know what? Maybe he just got a little bit complacent." And whether he's right or wrong about that, you always want better competition. And I think Matt Turner just wasn't going to push him any further than he was already going to do. And then on top of that, I think Matt Turner has probably earned an opportunity to start, and I don't think that was ever going to happen at Arsenal, right? So he just wasn't isn't that real niche spot where he just wasn't going to get game time. So it probably made sense for everybody to just, hey, let's make a little money off of him, and let's send him off somewhere where he's going to have an opportunity to start week to week. In Nottingham Forest, I don't know how stable they are as a club, but he's probably going to get a chance to start a lot of games there, and make his mark in the Premier League. Maybe in the future, who knows what's going to happen, right? Um, but then I think, yeah, David Raya, I've watched a little bit of the Brentford matches just because again, I nerd out during the season, man, and just watch as many games as I can. And Brentford are a fun team to watch, and he is a pretty solid goalkeeper. Um, and I think the situation where we're getting him for a year loan with an option to buy is, I think it sends a message that I think Ramsdale is still our number one guy, but like, we want to see what this guy has to prove. So I think yeah, I think it's gonna be a win-win for everybody because Ramsdale now has better competition. So I think that elevates his game. This guy David Raya wanted out of Brentford and wants an opportunity to, you know, further his career because I think he also wants to be the number one guy over for Spain. Um, so got an opportunity to show his skills at a different squad, at a different situation, potentially to win a trophy. And I think he's going to push as much as he can to get the starting role. So we have two guys who have just amazing opportunities in front of them. And it's only going to help our team. And I think whoever stays as the number one goalkeeper, is going to, that they're going to get to be our guy. And I mentioned this to a couple of buddies of mine. I think that means that eventually somebody's going to end up leaving in the next year or two, whether it's Ramsdale or Raya. Like, we'll see, right? And I think if let's say Raya wins out, that we end up just deciding to buy him for 27 million. That's a really good bit of business, and we got a better goalkeeper, you would say. And then if Ramsdale ends up number two, his value's up there too as well. So we can still make some good money back from him on a sale. Or Ramsdale wins out, he becomes number one for England, and he becomes way better than he already is. All we had to do was spend $3 million to boost him, right? And then we could just send Raya back to Brentford, and we find another goalkeeper next summer. So I don't know, man. I feel like it's win-win for everybody involved, and I'm really excited to kind of see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's great to have that competition. As you said, that's just going to push both of them on to get better and better, competing against each other. And it's going to be interesting to see how the season goes in terms of that, because the game time will be there. Raya will get his chance in the likes of the Carabao Cup, the FA
Mm,
Cup, and then also if we've done well in our group stage in the Champions League and the last couple of games are dead rubbers where we're already qualified, we might get a chance there as well. So he's
mm.
going to get his opportunities. Let's see how they both go. Wish them both the best. I love Ramsdale. He's just got better and better, and I'm sure he's going to embrace this competition, and that's going to drive him to continue to get better and better. So, yeah.
100%, yeah.
All right, bro. So, season preview time now. Before we talk about Nottingham Forest, let's do the overall predictions for the season. So, let's
Yeah.
start with, for you, what is your minimum expectations for us this season?
Um, I'm gonna say a trophy, but I'm not gonna count um the Carabao Cup. I really don't care about it. If we get it, cool. But if that's the only one we get, kind of like Manchester United, like, I'd be disappointed. So I'm thinking Champions League, right, or Premier League, or FA Cup. If we can get one of those three, obviously Champions League and Premier League being the big ones. But if we can walk out with our 15th FA Cup and all things else considered, if that's like our top accomplishment, I would be relatively pleased with what's happened. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and what about in terms of league position?
League position, I mean, I want us to see us get the number one spot. And I mean, I'm personally predicting that we win the Premier League. Um, but yeah, I think one or two like top two is going to be the minimum. I think. Um, just, I mean, we've built. I said this yesterday to a couple of my friends. Right, we're talking about this, but we've built up to this moment. Like everything that Edu has said, everything that Arteta's been saying ever since Arteta came in, and the phases when he's talking about the phases, and last year was a bit of a pleasant surprise, if you will. But I think all the phases have set the table for this season to be the one to where we're just going to aim for everything and then just see what happens. So, yeah, man, the league, I feel like top two is minimum. And I'm hoping and I'm expecting and I'm predicting that we walk away with the Premier League trophy.
Let's hope so. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the Champions League, so we've not been in it for so long. It's great to be back in it. In terms of how we progress in that competition, and what do you think as a minimum?
You know, I think a lot of it has to do obviously with the draw that's yet to happen. I think it happens at the end of the month. Um, from what I've read preliminarily about it, like we're in a favorable pot of teams. So hopefully we get like a real favorable draw. Um, and I think minimum knockout stage. I'm again, and this is just me being confident and again, we this is what we have been setting the table for. Um, I think we can get to a what is it, the final eight, semifinal. Yeah, yeah, we
Like
no, not
finals, quarterfinals.
quarterfinal. I think we can get to a quarterfinal. And if we can get to the quarterfinal, I would consider that like a successful run in the Champions League. Obviously we want to win them everything, uh, but you never know. A lot of times it's good luck, bad luck. Who do we have? What happened. I believe the knockout stages happened after the January transfer window. So what happens with that? Do we bring in somebody else? Where are we at in terms of the Premier League race, FA Cup? Where are we at going? All this kind of stuff. And I think I think we can make it to a semifinal and compete relatively well.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing to have Champions League football back. I'm sure when that draw happens, teams will be looking at us and being scared. It's great to be back in the big time,
Mhm.
likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, all these great teams in Europe. It's gonna be amazing to be playing in that competition again. Really looking forward to that. All right, so
100%.
let's talk about the league overall then. Let's talk about your prediction for top four. You said that you've predicted we're going to win the league, so what's your rest of your top four?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say I'll say Arsenal won, obviously, and I think City remains our top challenger, and they finish at two. And then three, four, and five and six, I feel like I might be just really tight. Um, and I'll say so Arsenal, Manchester City. Um, I feel like Liverpool. I feel like Liverpool. They they may. I think the return of like Luis Diaz and I think Darwin Nunez make them both a little bit. Make that team a little bit more formidable. They still got Mo Salah over there. So I think they have somewhat of a little bit of a resurgence there. Cody Gakpo is there. Um, maybe make one final run before Jurgen Klopp pieces out somewhere else. So I think they finish at three. And then fourth place, I'm probably going to point to Manchester United. I think they're a little bit poised to kind of insert themselves back into the big team race again. And then I'll go even a step further, and I think I'm afraid of Chelsea a little bit, and I think they might finish like fifth in Europa League or something like that.
Okay, and in terms of Liverpool, Man United, and Chelsea. Do you think that they'll be involved in the title race, or do you think it's going to come down to just us and City again?
I think it'll probably be a little bit wide open to start. You know, there might be like 4 or 5 teams in the title race early on, and I feel like Arsenal and Manchester City are going to kind of pull away a little bit. Um, so I think it's just going to be mostly a top two, maybe three. You know, I say Liverpool finished three, but I don't necessarily see them title hunting. And I think United. I'm gonna parrot an opinion a buddy of mine said, but he was just saying like, man, if Manchester United were able to sign like Harry Kane, for example, like that would probably make them a title contender. But I don't know really much about the guy that they signed from Atalanta and Serie A. I just don't think they're going to have the kind of goal scoring prowess to contend for a title. So I think it's going to maybe be a 3 horse race for a while, and then just whittle down to us and City chasing for the title.
Okay, and then in terms of relegation, who do you think
Ooh,
3 teams that are going to go down?
oh man, uh, you know, I had a different answer maybe yesterday as I was thinking about it, and then today, I did notice that Wolves fired their coach and hired somebody new. And I just, they've lost a lot of players and they haven't really looked like they've been improving and they're kind of stagnating. So I'm going to probably say Wolves. Um, I'm going to say, so it's going to be Wolves, maybe a team like Luton Town. I think they're going to be a scary away match. Like they're going to probably maybe steal some points off of teams just because they're the new, it's a new team. The novelty of their stadium. I'm sure you know about that. Like it's been going around, especially around here, like just how different that tiny stadium is. And I think it's gonna be a formidable place to play. But I think they end up. I don't think they can keep up with, all the other teams. This might be Luton, Wolves, and this is more of like an emotional pick, just because I don't like them and I want them to go down. But Everton would be my third pick. I just think they're getting lucky every season, and eventually their luck's going to run out. And they haven't. Again, that's another team that just hasn't really done anything to improve on their situation. So yeah, I'm just going to say Luton, Wolves, Everton, out of here.
Okay, bro. And then top goal scorer.
Ha. Oh man, I think it's going to be Erling Haaland again, but I have a feeling that it's not going to be as dominant as it was this past year. I think you're starting to see, man, there's been a little bit of chatter, and you look at his performance like in big cup games. He hasn't really he's been a little bit quiet. So I'm not saying he's been shut down or anything, although I think we did a good job shutting him down. Saliba and Gabriel had him in his pocket the whole time. I think teams are going to start figuring out ways to shut him down a little bit. And but I still think, a team as great as City is going to figure out how to adjust to that and get him some open looks. Um, but I think he's going to be the lead scorer again, but it just won't be that big gap that it was.
Okay, who do you think is going to be the top scorer for us?
I'm going back and forth uh, between Martinelli and Saka, but I will say this: um, our top scorer is going to have 20 plus goals. I don't know how much over 20. It might just be at 20, but I feel like one of them is due for a breakout. Bukayo Saka just looks like a killer out there. And Martinelli, going back to last season, I was just like, when we signed Gabriel Jesus, I just had this feeling. I was like, Martinelli is going to be the one that benefits the most from Gabriel Jesus coming into the system. Um, and he just, I think he had the biggest breakout of all of them, and I think he's just a little bit more of the wild card in there, and I think he's going to get some more goals. So I'll just say right now, all right, I'm going to say Martinelli's our top scorer.
Okay, cool. So this is a difficult prediction with the cup competitions because, as you were saying earlier, anything can happen.
Mhm.
It's knockout games. Sometimes luck can play a big part, and they're not going to be the finals are not till later on in the season, so anything can happen by then. But just quick predictions for the 3 cups thing. So, Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup, I feel like If it's not us, we can knock out early. I'm gonna say a team something like Newcastle United or Brighton end up winning it, just because that's one of the cups that not necessarily a lower team or a smaller team, but like if you find yourself out of top four or top eight or whatever, you're gonna really go all out. And I think I have a feeling that Newcastle's not gonna. I pick them in my top four. I think they're gonna struggle to stay, competing for the big spots. So I think someone like them or Brighton is gonna like take that cup seriously more than anybody else, and they end up winning
Okay, FA Cup.
it. FA Cup, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, that's the one I think at minimum we should be winning. So I think that's us, man. That's Arsenal.
Okay, and Champions League.
Ooh, I don't think City's going to do it again, or maybe they will because maybe we just demolished them in the Premier League race. Um, but I'm not going to pick City. I'm going to think someone like Real Madrid or Bayern. I think Bayern might be like the dark horse one, but Real Madrid, I just think they're just scary, man. And I have a feeling that they're still going to end up with Mbappe at the end of the transfer window. Um, so that's contingent on that, seeing what happens there. I think Madrid has to be the favorite, man. They just got so much good players, and Ancelotti is going to leave next year to go coach Brazil, so they're going to just go all out and win every trophy over there. And I think they end up winning the Champions League again.
Okay, wanted to ask you as well. Do you think there'll be a surprise package in the Premier League this season? Someone that not expected to do too well, like we saw last season, the likes of Brighton and Aston Villa done really well.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not much of a surprise, maybe, but I think it is. Just I have a feeling that Burnley is going to be one of the teams that kind of maybe fights for like a Europa Conference League spot. I just think I've watched a little bit of they don't show a ton of championship here, but I watched a little bit of it just because again, I'm a soccer sicko and I want to watch as much as possible. But they play a different brand than what I've been used to as far as Burnley when they were in the Premier League. They play a little bit more of an exciting type of football, and Vincent Company, I think, is going to have them playing up to their competition this season. So I think they're going to be like the surprise team that is a little bit irritating and maybe even a little bit exciting to watch.
Yeah, bro, it's so exciting. Always really exciting at the start of the season. That anticipation, time flies, but already just a few days away to the start of the season. So let's now talk about the Nottingham Forest game. I'm going to start with asking you what is your predicted lineup?
Oh man, that's the most. It's that's gonna. I think I have a feeling as we talk about matches over and over throughout the year moving forward. That's gonna be a more difficult question to answer, right? Um, just because we got so many players that can do so many things all around. Um, I feel like we will see the same starting 11 that we saw against Manchester City in the Community Shield, except our number 9 is going to be Eddie Nketiah. So that we got Eddie Nketiah up top, and then we got Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka as our other front three, and then I think we got Rice and Thomas Partey down the middle. Our midfielders, and then we got White on the right back, Saliba, Gabriel, right, our center back, and I think Timber, man, you can't bench that guy. Um, so yeah, I think he'll play our left back position. I guess Zinchenko is going to have to work his way back into top fitness again. And I think maybe he might be. No, I wouldn't say he would be like our first sub, but yeah, taking it a little bit a step further, I think Leandro Trossard and Kieran Tierney are going to be our first subs in to kind of shake things up again, and potentially, someone like Emil Smith Rowe getting some game time as well. I think he's looked pretty solid in his limited minutes so far, and he's going to work into our system pretty well. So we'll go with that lineup, and then Leandro Trossard, Kieran Tierney, Emil Smith Rowe, the first guys off the bench.
Okay, then looking at Nottingham Forest now, not really kept an eye on what they've been doing in the summer in terms of their transfer business, but they had a solid season last year. Unfortunately, we lost right towards the end of the season against them, but by then, we're going through a hard time there. With the situation with Man City, and by that point, it was very unlikely we were going to win the title. Yeah, it was a difficult game. They played well. They were fighting for relegation, so they managed to beat us 1-0. But the game we had against them here early in the season, we completely destroyed them. The
Yep.
nice, comfortable 5-0 win. We want something similar to that, hopefully, on Saturday. So, what's your thoughts on Nottingham Forest and the dangers they possess?
You know, they've had a really, really difficult preseason. Looking up all their matches, and they won one early in July, and then they lost 2-0 to Leeds, 1-0 to PSV Eindhoven, 5-0 to Ron from Ligue 1 in France, and then a 0-0 draw against Frankfurt. Um, yeah, they're not looking very good to start this season. Uh, looking at their looking at their bench or looking at their squad, I don't think, and this is more like wishful thinking. I hope that Matt Turner doesn't end up starting against us. But they already have a couple of goalkeepers there. Nobody really stands out to me. Like I said, I think when we were talking a little bit earlier, like haven't really paid too much attention to them. They did pick up Anthony Alanga from Manchester United. I think he got sold off to them. They got some players, I guess. Remo Freuler, Danilo, Morgan Gibbs White. These are some names that I recognize. Um, but yeah, they just haven't looked good in preseason. So I don't think they're going to put up much of a fight against us. I think like I said, I think the momentum we're going to carry into Saturday from the good preseason that we did have. A lot of excitement. It's going to be at home at the Emirates. Finally, I feel like it's been a long time since we've opened the season at home. Um, I just think the excitement, the buzz, we're going to capitalize on that. And I think we end up winning comfortably 3-0.
Okay, I'm going for 4-0.
Yeah.
Uh, not quite the 5-0 of last season, but yeah, 4. Hopefully, one thing that we can improve, and I think a lot from last season, is our defensive record at home. We did tend to concede a lot of goals at home in the league. We had a great record overall in the league at home. We
Mm.
only lost a couple of times, and we want to continue that home momentum that we had last season. But just the area I think we can improve is that defensive side of things at home. Felt we gave up too many goals, so hopefully, we can improve on that. Get a nice clean sheet to start the season. Get 3, 4, 5 goals, comfortable home win, and then move on to the next one. So to finish with ball, gonna do predictions for some of the other big games coming up. It is a really good opening round of fixtures. So it starts with Friday night. This time City have been giving that Friday night game, not us. Last couple of
Yeah.
seasons it's been us. And we know a couple of years back we had that difficult start, but then last season we put that right with a really good start away to Crystal Palace on that Friday night game. This time, Man City's turn to play that opening fixture. They got a tricky game. You mentioned Burnley. You fancy them to be dark horses for this season. Got Vincent Company as a manager there. He's going to go head to head with Pep Guardiola, who was his previous manager. Friday night game, Burnley are at home for that one as well. Should be a really good atmosphere down there. Back in the Premier League for them. They're going to be putting a big effort in for that one. What's your prediction?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, that's definitely the team I kind of fancy as somebody that's gonna not only just stay in the Premier League, right? Like one of the newly promoted teams that stay in there. But again, they might challenge and upset some teams and just kind of make some noise. And yeah, as you said, they get the Friday treatment at home against the defending champions, Manchester City. All those storylines going together. It's going to be an explosive way to start the season. I'm actually really excited to kind of get it. I'm actually excited, yeah, to have them, another team, kind of go with that kind of crazy pressure, and then let us go the next day and just kind of go with it. I'm gonna predict, man. I think they're gonna get upset. I feel as strong as as Manchester City still are as a team, as a club, as an organization. They've lost a lot of players off, right? Gundogan. I'm sure there's more. I can't. It just evaded
Mahrez,
me at this very second.
Mahrez, another big one was
Uh,
Mahrez.
yeah, Mahrez, Kevin De Bruyne is not really necessarily 100%. It didn't look like. Um, so yeah, man, I think, and like I said, I think we're gonna see early on that Erling Haaland, teams are kind of figuring out how to stop him a little bit. Um, so I'm gonna say it's gonna be a tight one, and Burnley get lucky and nick them 2-1. Uh, Burnley.
Wow, bro, that would be
Yeah,
amazing.
yes, I'm gonna call it. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
excited about that.
I think it'll be tight, okay, but I think Man City would just edge that one. I'm gonna go 2-1 Man City.
Okay,
Next one, gonna go for Newcastle vs Aston Villa.
Newcastle and Villa. Yeah, man. So Newcastle is gonna be a squad that is. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, like I don't think they're gonna stay up in the top four. It's gonna be a little bit like us when we went from eighth to fifth and then tried to get from fifth or no, what was it? No, yeah, from going from eighth uh to fifth and then try to like get that Champions League spot. We just couldn't keep up with the pressure. Um I think that's gonna be I feel like last year was just a lot of good things happened for them and players just a lot of good players just had some of their best seasons and it just all kind of, you know, gelled together perfectly. And it's going to be a difficult time or for them to maintain Champions League and also the Premier League. I don't think they're quite at that level yet where they're going to just kind of be one of those perennial big six or big seven teams, whatever we want to call it. Um, and Villa, they're another team I feel like that's going to scare like they scare me. Unai Emery, uh, I don't think he's a slouch of a coach, man. I think he's a really good coach and gets his players to play really well. Um, so I'm gonna call another upset, if you will, and I think Villa wins, or I think it ends up being a draw. Excuse me. I'm gonna go 2-2.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going for a draw in that one as well. I think 1-1, I'll go for in that one. Surprisingly for me, Newcastle haven't done much big business in the transfer window.
Mm-hmm.
I they've got such a massive budget now with the ownership they have there. I know there's a financial fair play side of things as well, but surprised they got Champions League football as well, so they got a lot more revenue coming in from that. I thought they'll do some more big business. There's still a few weeks left in the transfer window, we know, so there's still time for them to get stuff done. But as you mentioned as well, Aston Villa really solid last year. Unai Emery done a great job there. So I think yeah, it'll be a tight game. 1-1 for me in that one. Next one, Brentford versus Tottenham.
Ooh. Uh, yeah, Harry Kane is still there, so I feel like Tottenham is just that. I think they're gonna. That's gonna be a weird team, right? I feel like that if they somehow get rid of Harry Kane and he goes off to like Bayern or somewhere, that team is just gonna collapse completely and maybe not even finish top half. They do not impress me at all. I think Brentford. Well, we just took their goalkeeper, right? And I didn't get to watch him, but Tottenham did give up a 2-1 lead to Barcelona in a friendly and ended up losing 4-2. So they feel like it feels like they're right in mid-season form, late game bottling. I'm gonna pick Brentford to win. It's at the Brentford Community Stadium. Uh, they're difficult to play when they're at home, so I'm gonna pick Brentford to win. It's gonna be a close, but I feel it's gonna be like a 3-1, and then Tottenham just kind of give up two stupid goals at the end and just start the season off terribly. So 2-1 Brentford.
Okay, yeah, I think Brentford's gonna win that one. So I'm gonna go for 2-1. I think Brentford, as you said, good team. We saw ourselves last season. They were difficult for us to play against. The game here, they played well. And I know they're missing Ivan Tony, he's suspended, but still overall they got a really good team. Tottenham, as you mentioned, the whole Harry Kane thing. they haven't done much business in the transfer window. I know they got Madison in, but apart from that, I haven't really seen them do much. I think they're going to have a difficult season again and
Yeah.
start with a loss to Brentford. Come on, Brentford, get the win over them. Next one, big game for the opening round of fixtures for both of these two teams. Two really big teams in the Premier League going against each other on the first round. Chelsea at home to Liverpool.
Oh, that's gonna be a really, really incredible match to watch. Like I said, man, yeah, so many good matchups to start the season, man. The Premier League did not play around and getting things going. Um, but Jesus, man, Chelsea, yeah, they've spent a ton of money again. Granted, they've made a lot of sales or whatever, but the injuries, man. So they've got Wesley Fofana out again till March. Madueke is injured at least until like mid August, and then Christopher Nkunku, which I'm a big fan of because I think he played what at Leipzig or whatever. Um, and, you know, I saw him in the World Cup play a little bit, and I like that guy, but he's out for a long time as well, probably like November. So it's a little bit disappointing to see him at the very least out. But yeah, Chelsea's got a lot of injuries, a lot of questions. Um, they're one of they're this team I think that they got Pochettino, so they got like a serious coach, right? He's gonna get his players. I think we see a little bit of a positive bounce in Chelsea, and they become a little bit more dangerous. But I think in big games, they're just not going to have that they're just not going to be clinical. Like, you know, they're not going to be big game ready. And I think this is a big match for them. And I think Liverpool goes into Stamford Bridge and gets the win comfortably. I'm going to say 2-0.
Okay, it's gonna be interesting. New manager. He's had
Yeah.
pre-season to work with him, but it's going to take time. We saw how much they struggled last season. It's going to be very hard just to turn it around back quickly. So yeah, I see them having a slow start, but as the season progresses, I do see them getting better. But I think Liverpool last season they did have a lot of injuries. Whenever I speak to my friends who are Liverpool fans, they always say to me, "Look at all the injuries we had. We really did suffer." You look at how their form picked up towards the end of the season when they had a lot of their players back. They've added to their team in the transfer window as well. So I think they're going to be a dangerous team this season, and I see them going
Mhm.
well. So I see them starting with a win there. I'm going to go for Liverpool to win 3-1. That's what you went for as well, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, Liverpool. Yeah, I said 2-0, but you know,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
so
they win.
I'll go 3-1. I think Chelsea pretty get a goal, but yeah, 3-1 for me in that one. I mean to finish with, it's the Monday night game. Man United are playing against Wolves. Thoughts on that one?
Oh, yeah, Wolves are one of the teams I picked for relegation, right? I just think they're a hapless bunch. I don't really like haven't really heard about them or anybody they've picked up. In fact, they're probably like a one of those squads that are probably more interested in selling. Um, but I don't know. Yeah, they just have, I don't know, man. Like I think maybe, yeah, we'll see. They got a really light squad. I'm just kind of looking at it right now, and not a lot of people on their team. And it just doesn't seem like a very impressive squad. So I think United's another team that I feel like it's going to start like a lot better than they did last year. And then we'll see how it goes as the season progresses. So I think they end up winning. I don't think it's that an impressive of a win, but I think it's like a 1-0 win, maybe 2-0, just because Wolves might be poor on the night, but I'll stick with it and I'll say 1-0 United.
Okay, yeah, I think they're going to improve their manager, Ten Hag. He seems like a really good manager. We saw he'd done great things at Ajax, and last season, where he came in, he had that whole thing going on with Ronaldo, sorted that out, got the team playing well. They did have some good results, and I think they are going to improve. We saw get them in preseason against us. They did look decent. It's only preseason. A lot of them were like, "Yeah, we beat you." Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But it was only preseason. You're not going to beat us in the league. We got them early in the league, haven't we? We got them in September.
Yeah. And they actually haven't even been looking good in the preseason after that match, too. So, I mean, but you won't hear them say anything about that. But yeah, yeah, we do have them early, like in September, one of the early matches. So yeah, it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, I think, but like you say, Wolves just had to change their manager as well, so they're in a bit of disarray, changing your manager this close to the season starting. So I don't think they're going to be prepared well. So I see Man United getting the win there. I'll go 2-0 Man United in that one. So, bro, that's it. Next time I see you, we'll be discussing these opening round of fixtures next week. Hopefully, discussing a great win for us, starting the season in style. Nice dominant win against Nottingham Forest. Just one thing before we go. Arsene Wenger coming here to see his statue in person. He was guest of honor at the game, the Emirates Cup game, and then the next day he was here to see his statue. It was really great. I got to see that moment when he came in person and got to meet him, and brilliant. Your thoughts on?
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I was really happy with the pictures and the videos you sent me. Um, and then just watching, the Arsenal social media is kind of blow that up as well. Um, really happy. It's awesome to see him coming back around, being part of the club again, meeting, the current players. It just there's a lot of good vibes going on right now, man. And it's a great time to be an Arsenal supporter. Um, we had even in some of the friendlies, the MLS All-Star game, we had like 60 plus people on a random Wednesday night to watch a preseason game against the MLS All-Stars. We had about 100 people, 125 people to watch the Community Shield. So there's just a lot of good vibes and feeling around this club right now. And I think, yeah, just seeing that statue being unveiled and honoring the past and him just being and not only just showing up but being part of the club again and talking to the players, taking pictures, commenting on the job that Arteta and Edu and everybody else is doing. It's gonna be it is great to see, man, and I'm just I was happy that again to see those pictures and to see him still being a vital part of the club and the DNA and just us honoring our history and treating him how he's supposed to be treated, man.
Yeah, for sure, bro. This stadium wouldn't be here without him.
Oh,
Emirates Stadium, a lot of hard work. I saw his interview where he talked about it caused him a lot of sleepless nights. He worked really hard to get us to this stadium, and he had to sacrifice a lot in terms of transfer budget, and things were difficult, but amazing, great guy, legend. And I heard as well when he was asked about his thoughts on our season coming up, he's like, "We want to win the league. Let's do it. We could do it. It's been a long wait. We came so close last season, and we're only going to improve. We know we got a young team. They have learned a lot from last season. That experience, being in the title race for the first time for the majority of our players, I'd say, yeah, apart from Zinchenko and Jesus, for all the rest of the squad, that was the first time they've been involved in a title race like that. So, going to take a lot from that experience. Plus, with the transfer business we've done, it's been great transfer business. Really confident that we can go really well this season. We're up against a great team like Man City again, so no doubt it's going to be difficult, but really confident. Let's do this. Let's win the Premier League this season. Let's go well in the other competitions. Great to have the Champions League back. Let's hope we go on a nice, long, deep run in that competition as well. And look forward to discussing it all with you through the season, bro. Thanks for your time today.
yeah, man, my pleasure. I'm excited. Now once the games are starting, they're just gonna come thick and fast, man. And yeah, looking forward to telling you what it's like at the tavern and meeting a whole bunch of people. And yeah, man, let's go. Come on, you Gunners. Let's do it.
Yeah, come on, Arsenal.
Let's
So that's
go.
it from us. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share.